Imagine feeling self-assured most days, and for the most part, doing your life without having to second guess yourself. Imagine what you could do with all the time you would have if you stopped doubting your choices every day. This is the essence of living with soft ambition, and today we're going to talk about how you can live this way more of the time. When I came across the word soft ambition, it hit me like a bolt of lightning. All of a sudden, I had words for a concept that I had been working with for years. This idea that you can want things for yourself, but not be willing to sacrifice the journey and the now to have those things. The idea that we can make the process of living and moving toward what we want just as enjoyable as the destination and the satisfaction of accomplishing. These words pulled together everything that I have been working on in my own personal life, as well as the things that I really care about sharing with my clients in my coaching practice. Soft ambition lets us do what we love on our own terms. It lets us be our whole selves, every little bit of us, and bring that into the things that we do and the way we interact with people and the way we show up in the world. It's a way of evaluating our lives that doesn't rely on performance, whether we are fully expressed rather than feeling constricted. It's about valuing balance over being exhausted or overworking. It's about working for clarity and calm, and then the confidence that that gives us when we have that awareness of what's true for us. I am not talking about that kind of internet bro sort of showy confidence that is actually kind of needy because they need people to affirm them, they need people to see. This confidence that I'm talking about, this soft ambition confidence, comes from a really grounded place within us. It doesn't need other people to affirm or see that we feel this way. It just is. Yes, we still want to get things done. We still want things for ourselves, but we're not willing to give it all in order to get there. We aren't willing to sacrifice how we feel right now in order to feel better then. We want the whole thing. We don't want either or. We want both and. We want to have a great journey, a great life experience, a great time right now, as well as the accomplishment. And I think we can do that. With soft ambition, we value the journey as much as the destination. Whether you're conscious of it or not, you are creating every step of the way. It's really empowering to realize this, that we have the ability to create an experience for ourselves, and it also might make you wonder what sorts of experiences you might have been creating for yourself that you weren't aware of. And I will say, even when you are hit with the worst, most challenging circumstances that these things really are outside of your control, you at least still have the ability to choose how you experience those things, which can make all the difference in whether you survive or not, how you thrive as you go through difficult times. Today, I'm going to share 3 foundations of soft ambition that will help you create confidence in yourself and learn to trust yourself better. It happens naturally and organically when you figure out the truth of these 3 foundations. The rest takes care of itself. These 3 areas are personal values, your natural rhythms, and your desired impact. This works kind of like a 3-legged stool. So if you put too much emphasis on one, you're gonna be unbalanced and probably fall off the stool. And if you are neglecting one, those other 2 aren't gonna be enough to hold up the stool. So these things work most optimally when they are balanced, when they have an equal amount of attention and emphasis and awareness. A lot of people think they know their personal values, but they aren't able to articulate them. And some people think we all just share the most basic, common personal values. This is not true. Going through the process of actually identifying and articulating your personal values is eye-opening. To find some clues to your personal values, it helps to look at your life and sort of see where you have the most satisfaction, and that gives you a hint about what has been getting the most attention in your life. Maybe it's your health, maybe it's your relationships, maybe it's your work. In the Soft Ambition workbook, we have an exercise where you are able to rate 8 areas of your life in terms of satisfaction. And that really helps create a graphic view of where you're putting your attention, what kinds of areas you might want to think about giving more attention to. So to find the personal values, we want to look underneath the things that you feel super satisfied about, underneath where you're giving your attention. For instance, let's say health, you rate very high on your satisfaction index. You could be satisfied with that because of the benefits that health gives you in terms of aesthetics and how you look. It could be that you enjoy putting attention into your health because it makes you feel competent, and that's something that's really important to you. It could be that it's a fear-based thing. You put emphasis on your health because you are afraid of being sick or getting old. So that's a different value entirely. In that case, you're really valuing safety. When you know what's underneath and you kind of start discovering what your personal values are, then you can look in the rest of your life and see where those values might be playing out. So if you had a value of safety, where else in your life are you doing things to give yourself safety? That gives you a really good idea that safety is a strong personal value for you. And I want to say just real quick that there's no right or wrong values. There's no good or better or worse values. These just are. All through the work that we're doing here, we are just trying to figure out what is, and also what is in this moment. You might change your mind later. It may change depending on your circumstances, but right now is what really matters. That's the only thing we're working with, the truth of right now. When you know what your personal values are, it makes such a big difference in making decisions and choices. When you know what those values are, you can feel really good about the choice. When you know you've made a choice that is aligned with what really matters to you. You can also see where there's a gap between what really matters to you and what you're putting your time into. You can see where there's a gap between your intent and your actions. I came face to face with this over the holidays, and I had an incident with my son where I realized that my intent was not matching my actions. I wrote about this in an email to my list where I can be a little bit more personal. So if you're not on my email list, I would invite you to get on there so that you can hear some of these stories that I'm sharing. Suffice it to say that it isn't always a lot of fun to notice when you're not acting in alignment with your personal values. But it's so much better to know when you aren't so that then you can correct course. Knowing your values allows you to be accountable to yourself, not to anybody else. You are fulfilling what matters to you and holding yourself accountable to that. And with Soft Ambition, it's a really gentle kind of accountability that we're advocating for. A place where we can be kind to ourselves and notice when we're not doing what we say we want to be doing, and just gently bring ourselves back on track and keep moving forward. Part of that is accepting that the old ways of motivating ourselves, like shaming and punishing and beating ourselves up, doesn't actually work. It doesn't actually motivate new behavior. Instead, let's put our energy into bravely looking at what is. Let's look at what our values are and whether we're acting in accordance with them. When we're acting in alignment with our values, it feels expansive and free, as opposed to feeling sort of constricted and small. So that's one way you can check in with yourself to see, does this really align with my values? At the end of this video, I'm going to link another video that talks about fundamental choices. And those fundamental choices are so valuable when they are based on your personal values, and they can help really eliminate a lot of hesitation. The bottom line is that when you know the truth of your personal values, yeses become clear, nos become clearer and easy. When you know your personal values, it is so much easier to discern for yourself who you want to spend your time with, how you want to spend your time, which leads us to the second foundation, natural rhythms. Natural rhythms are all about the truth of your optimal way of operating in the world. A lot of people have been forced to ignore their natural rhythms because of jobs or expectations or family commitments. and they don't realize that they actually do have an optimal way of operating. What we're looking for is the truth of right now for you. Society requires us to conform in so many ways. We're expected to show up at 9 a.m. That's the time everybody should be at work. And that doesn't necessarily work for everyone. We grow up thinking that there are these norms, and we end up gaslighting ourselves, telling ourselves we're lazy if we don't conform, or antisocial if we don't want to spend time with people as much as society leads us to believe that the most successful, popular people do. It's not your fault if you have been beating yourself up about this, because you have been conditioned by a society that isn't taking into consideration anything about you. We judge ourselves and each other when we're not conforming to society's expectations. I know, because I've done plenty of judging myself and my kids for not following typical patterns. We grow up hearing adages like, idle hands are the devil's playground. Tell me if you've heard that in the comments. The other one is, early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. Tell me if that rings familiar to you, and if you've ever actually challenged it in your head. Is it something that just takes up space and real estate there that isn't actually your own? Knowing the truth for you in this very moment about your natural rhythms, your preferences for activity and quiet time, or conformity or self-expression, knowing these things and what's true for you about it gives you real information to work with, not conditioned information that you feel like you should be incorporating. We want to work with what is only true for you. Don't get stuck worrying about whether it's always been this way or if you're going to stay this way. All we want to know is what's going on right now. That gives us important information. For instance, let's say you're sleeping a lot. When you are ignoring the truth of what's going on right now, you may be missing some really important clues, and also you're missing underlying information that you need to work with. You might actually not be feeling well. You might be sick, and sleeping a lot is a clue. You also could be sleeping a lot because you're in a job that requires you to get there at a certain time that doesn't match your natural rhythms. So you're trying to go to bed early, you get in bed, but you're not tired. So you end up scrolling or watching Netflix and staying up late, but you still have to get up early in the morning. So you force yourself to get up early in the morning, and you start this cycle that is completely out of balance with your natural rhythms. Curiosity is key here. We want to be curious about what's really going on underneath. Disciplining yourself and sort of white knuckling your way through things and forcing yourself into daily routines and rhythms that don't suit you is not sustainable. Your body will keep score and will not cooperate when something is out of alignment for you. You would be better off honoring your natural rhythms by just acknowledging the truth of them. Even if you're still stuck in a situation that doesn't match your optimal natural rhythms, you have information now as you think about other things you could do, maybe a different job, but also opening up the options about when you eat, when you sleep, when you exercise, allowing yourself to rejigger everything in your life. This can be about your daily rhythms of sleeping and resting and activity, but it can also be about your rhythms in terms of how much you want to socialize or not. Making an introvert socialize a lot is not going to cure them of introversion. Introverts will just get tired, and the same goes for extroverts. Making an extrovert not socialize will not make them appreciate quiet time and being alone. It just doesn't work that way. But when you are honoring your natural rhythms for the most part, it gives you more resilience. And because we can't always be in situations that are our natural preference, we're going to have to build up some resilience for times when we need to be in places and do things in a way that isn't optimal for us. When you find yourself having to be in a situation that isn't in alignment with your natural rhythms, you're going to be making a choice, using your values and your awareness of your natural rhythms to decide what impact you want to have. Which brings us to our third foundation, the third leg of the stool, your desired impact. Your desired impact is all about how you interact with others, how you want to show up and make an impact on your community, the people you love, and the world. With soft ambition, our goal is to relax and trust ourselves even with other people. When we know the truth of our values and our natural rhythms and we are acting in alignment with those things, we can be confident that we are showing up authentically and genuinely. We can know that we're safe. We don't have to protect. We don't have to overthink things. We can be intentional about the impact that we want to have on other people. This is why the advice to just be yourself can be problematic, in my opinion. We have so many different versions of ourselves, right? The one that's at home wearing sweats and eating chips, that's one version of ourselves. There's another version that is at a party and socializing and being very happy with people, even if we're an introvert. There's other versions of ourselves that are, competitive and all about winning and accomplishing. There are all these different parts of ourselves that fit together into who we are. We don't want to let your feelings in the moment determine how you're showing up. You want to be in charge of that. You want to be deliberate about that. And the way that you can be deliberate is by knowing the truth of your values and your natural rhythms so that you can make a decision about your impact. For example, let's say your niece is getting married and you're a big old introvert like me. A big party is not my optimal space. It can be tiring for me. But if I have values around community and family and making a positive contribution, I'm going to choose to go to that wedding even if it isn't my optimal natural circumstances. When you know the truth of your values and when you know the truth of your natural rhythms, you can use those things to support yourself. At the wedding, for example, you might know that you're going to try to take breaks throughout the night and go catch a breath of fresh air all by yourself outside throughout the evening. You might wear clothes that make you feel festive and outward and fun, but also that feel comfortable and comforting. You might want to bring a friend or a partner who really gets you and is supportive of your need for quiet time. And you also might plan ahead to give yourself a few days of recovery after a party like that. If you didn't know your truth, or if you were just ignoring the truth of your values and your natural rhythms, you would have a different experience. Maybe you would be at the party and you would just sort of feel out of it. Your body would know that something was off. You might feel a little resentful, and you might end up feeling a little grumpy, which might make you a little short-tempered, which might then end up having you act in ways that were completely out of alignment with what you actually care about, which is being at the party and supporting your niece at her wedding. Desired impact is where a lot of choices happen. Making these intentional choices comes from listening carefully to yourself, listening carefully to others, and having the ability to speak up, either literally speak up or speak up in terms of supporting yourself. Desired impact is all about choosing how you want to show up, what you want to be known for, and how you want people to feel in your presence. Can you see how even in less than optimal circumstances, knowing your truths, the truth of your personal values, the truth of your natural rhythms, and the truth of your desired impact gives you choice? It puts you in an empowered position to create what you want in your life. Finding your truth is the most important work you can do. No one can tell you what your truth is. That is your work to do. We have so much conditioning from society that we have these downloaded things that we think are truths in our head, and it takes a lot of effort to sort of sort through which things are mine, which things got passed on to me that I didn't agree to, which things are not true for me anymore. That's the process of figuring out what your truths are. Doing this work is super valuable, and you can do a lot of it on your own. That's why I created the Soft Ambition Workbook. It's something that gives people a structure for sorting through what's true for them. It gives you a bunch of exercises for really seeing yourself and gently challenging your assumptions. But doing a deeper level of this work is difficult because you're sort of working within this echo chamber of your own head where you just keep hearing your own voice. And sometimes it's helpful to have a sounding board or a mirror of somebody who's outside of you, who is there only for the purpose of reflecting back to you what you're saying. This is why it's sometimes hard hard to talk to friends and family about this, and you can't get as far talking to them because they can't help but have a vested interest in either keeping you the same or helping you to become what they see that you could become. This is why people go and talk to a coach, and this is why I am sharing these things on YouTube to help you do some of this deeper thinking. Here's what I want you to know about soft ambition and learning to trust yourself. It is possible to be self-assured most days. Take a minute and just imagine who you would be, how you would be showing up if you could just start trusting yourself. What would open up for you? What would be different in your life if you didn't spend so much time second guessing? If you were able to just know that the way you are showing up and the things that you're choosing made sense for you. I would love to hear your thoughts on this in the comments below. And if this whole idea of soft ambition and building self-trust appeals to you, I would love to have you join my email list and learn more about some of the things that I'm doing with clients and in a group that I have called the Soft Ambition Circle. This is a place where people are able to come and use their everyday life and the things that they're working through in the workbook, which they get with being part of the circle, sort through and really articulate their truths in these 3 areas of personal values, natural rhythms, and desired impact. So if that's of interest, feel free to reach out to me, leave a comment below, and let's stay in touch. I'm Annie Kipp. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.